Alright, so I decided to upgrade my birds' rations here. This stuff here is actually a protein feed for my goats, but the birds don't seem to mind it. And considering what else they eat, yeah, that's probably fine. It's actually just a little scoop of it over the top of a bunch of corn. This is, I think this is, what was it, a gallon in that thing? So this is 2 gallons of corn and about a quart of protein feed. Just kind of wanted to see if I was not feeding them quite enough and if they would all be able to get something here. So their primary function out here isn't to lay eggs, it isn't to make birds to eat, it's to keep my weeds, bugs, and pests down, either by eating them or, eating whatever the heck I just said, or driving the other ones off because there's nothing for them to eat. So the objective here isn't to feed these guys a bunch of food. And I actually don't think I need to give them anything. They've got a really large range that they can go through here. And there's a lot of stuff that grows out here for them to eat, or attracts things for them to eat. I give them corn because I want to make sure that if they have a bad day of foraging, they still get enough to eat so that they're not hungry. And as you can see, a lot of these birds are not that hungry. They're obeying the social order, which is big stuff gets to eat. The rooster here is probably behind the bigger Muscovies, who are behind Tom and Scarlet. So everybody gets an opportunity to eat out here, even if they had kind of a bad day. And it looks like the rooster may have had kind of a bad day because he's getting a lot closer than he normally does, and he keeps coming back. So this is how we make sure that our birds stay pretty healthy. It looks like the darkness may have had a really bad day too, because he doesn't normally get this close to me, because I would net his butt and put a collar on him so that he doesn't wake me up in the morning. Yeah, and there you can kind of see Scarlet will pull feathers. Now the ducks, I think the ducks actually have a bad day pretty often. When we first moved out here, we had lots of bees and lots of snails out here. I haven't seen a snail in so long, and I think that's because those guys kind of have a French outlook on snails. They'll eat them, and they'll hunt them to eat them. Now the Muscovies, they seem to really need a lot of food for what size they are. And so just kind of as a note, they're always up here in the front eating, and that could just be because they're Muscovies, or it could be the fact that they've just recently stopped kind of growing. And actually I think the males are still kind of growing here. They're really big birds. I mean, you can kind of see that. This is a size 14 or 15 shoe, so they're a really big bird. Alright, so Scarlet finally moved off. She didn't actually eat all that much. She just wanted to honk and bite. But yeah, it looks like the Muscovies actually had a pretty decent day. Normally they're over here laying in the food, eating it. Of course, I've moved to putting their food in this giant goat bowl. And that seems to force everybody to keep their damn feet out of the middle of the food. Well, and it looks like our boys have started to assert their dominance over the hens. They've been bigger than the hens for a while, but they've been letting the hens kind of bully them. So here comes the darkness. Yeah, I think he had a bad day. He's up in here trying to get in there with the first round. Well, you're just a pretty chicken, though, aren't you? Yeah. So he actually might be related to a rooster we lost kind of early on. His name was Alexander, and he was extremely friendly, but he did not want to go in any of the coops. He wanted to stay on top of the coop and watch at night, and we had an owl, I believe. and the owl got him. The owl got a couple other hens, and I think my building got the owl, because I found a relatively small eastern screech owl dead. It looked like it hit one of my windows and broke its little neck, and I didn't find it for a couple of days, and then the owl killings stopped. Of course, a lot of that was because I netted a bunch of chickens and forced them to go into the coop at night. They don't like doing that. Hey, you two, let's keep this PG out here. So, yeah, looks like everybody had a pretty good day. Nobody's eating this stuff, so I might actually have to give it to the goats. And the goats very rarely get fed out here because I really want them to be moving down my hill here and eating all of the vegetation. So what's going on, you guys? How come I haven't seen very much wet soil out here? This thing's on. Let's see if it's maybe plugged up. I have some pretty nasty problems with algae growing in my pipes out here. Even though the pressure is really significant, it seems to strip it off my white pipes here that I just need to come out here with a black can of spray paint and hit. Now, looks like our pressure is pretty good. So, this guy here just kind of waters the hill a little bit. It's not to build up pasture or anything for the goats. I have plenty of room down there for them. But I figure the reason that these rocks look like this, but it, maybe doesn't look like that over here, and before I started digging, didn't look like that over here. I think it's because I'm losing dirt. It's flowing down the hill, so I'm thinking if I water up here and I develop some plants that put down roots, maybe I can stop the hemorrhaging. I did stop watering in the dead of winter a little bit. This was actually really green up here with a bunch of plants that the goats don't care for eating too much. And I shut it off for a couple of weeks. We got some pretty good freezes, and then now it looks like this again. So I have this thing set up. I don't know why it's not watering as much as I thought it should. This also is to keep the goats from just hanging out up here, and hopefully to keep the chickens from hanging out along on the fence. I'd rather they stay up here because I get coyotes, I get raccoons, maybe other things down there. We have ring-tailed cats out here, which are kind of like a squirrel raccoon thing. They're really cute. And look at that thing. It's getting dusty. I can smell it. And yeah, all those things eat chickens, and so I want these guys to stay on my side of the fence, but they usually stay within about 200 foot of the coop. So, yeah. Tomorrow, our chicks should start hatching, so it's going to get way more interesting out here. What do you think, Alaric? What are you doing? You better not be eating that food. It's not for puppies. You're getting kind of solid, buddy. Yeah, you're like 3 Mile Island. You're going solid. Oh, man.